I am originally born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then I moved to Baltimore when I was 18 years old to attend the Maryland Institute College of Art. So I feel like, I have like this origins of two places, but my roots were definitely from the South. I grew up very religious and kind of in a sheltered environment, so I didn't really have a lot of access to a lot of secular, what they would call secular things at the time, and that was everything from music and even in social situations I wasn't allowed to like hang out with other kids that were outside of my church system. So what I found myself doing is sneaking away and indulging in my favorite 90s R&B, 90s dance records, music, art. A lot of things for me as a kid sparked my curiosity, and art was always one of those things, and music was always one of those things that excited me. So I had a big imagination as a kid. Growing up, I came from a home where, it's like domestic abuse. So I very early on found myself in all these different social environments, growing up as a young black girl in the South and having to understand the system inside my home, and then going into this church environment and understanding that system, and then going into school and understanding that social environment kind of made me up to be who I am today, because I was able to explore more when I found myself in these outside worlds. And I think moving to Baltimore broke me away from a lot of the things that I felt may have been holding me back. Today I'm actually doing a photo shoot. I'm working with this amazing photographer, Crystal.
Good.
I'm working on some new music and a new album, and I think for the first time I'm really tapping into my feminine energy and, this boss queen attitude. And I'm older, I feel like I'm a woman, I'm stepping into my womanhood, and this is how I feel. And I feel like life should be glamorous, life should be free-flowing, life should be fun.
Can you look into the blue light up here? And you can drop that on your shoulder?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
My first experience that I can remember with art, I was, I believe, in first grade, and I had this painting I had done. And the painting went very far, like it won a lot of competitions in my school. I mean, we're talking about elementary school, but I grew up with that painting. It was like this abstract painting that I was like, man, even growing up, my mom used to think I was like this artist genius. And then one day I was a senior in high school in an art class, and we were flipping through the art books, and I came across this painting called Picasso, Girl Before Mirror. And that was a painting that I had done as a first grader. And I was like, you mean to tell me all this time this was a reference? And I hadn't remembered that our teacher, probably at a young age, showed us this reference and had us mimic that painting. I thought it was my painting the entire time, but apparently it was Picasso's Girl Before Mirror. But I remember that was like, my introduction to art. My dad was a big influence on my musical side and art side. He didn't do music, but he brought different music into the house. Like he would order CDs, and I would sneak away and listen to those CDs because I wasn't supposed to be listening to them, but he had them. And so I would sneak in his desk and I would go find those CDs and put it in my CD player. It was really my introduction to music outside of gospel music. My dad naturally draws, and so it's actually genetics when it comes to visual arts for me. It was nothing that I had to necessarily learn the skill, but more so develop it. And that's what I did, when I was in high school. I went to an art magnet school, and, that's when I started to actually develop my skills for, being a visual artist. And I really think that, both make up me, like both my music side and my art side made me who I am. And, I just continue to explore those realms every day, even as an adult.
Are we ready for the next set?
We are ready for the next set.
We are absolutely ready, girl.
My first introduction to video production was when I was in school at the Maryland Institute College of Art, and I was studying video production, but it hadn't quite developed. At that time, DSLR cameras weren't even invented yet. They were just starting to come out, and just the accessibility to video was becoming a new thing. So I really had an interest in there, but I didn't really see a lot of references of things that reflected people that looked like me and directors that had my same voice in class. So it kind of made me deviate away from it at first, but I always felt like I was a good storyteller. And so, I told stories through my music, told stories through my video projects, even as a student. And so I think that's where I got that first, inkling that, there might be something there for me in video. When I graduated from college, I moved to New York, and I was there for 2 years, but I was still going back and forth to Baltimore. And I had a friend who really believed in me and said, if you really want to do this, I got you. I can get you in the studio and I can help you. And I just dived head first. It was no real rule book or guide to it all. I just started. And, as things evolved, as things progressed, I found my voice in my music. And that, I think, is what feels the best for me today. Early on when I started my music career, I was definitely more urban. I was working with a lot of urban hip hop artists in Baltimore, playing at a lot of the spots that are no longer here, like Eden's Lounge, Organic Soul Tuesday open mics. I've done the Auto Bar when they would do underground hip hop, 5 Seasons. I was doing all these different rap competitions. My first big out-of-state show probably was going to DC, and I opened up for Wale and Life Jennings way before Wale was a big thing. And it was amazing because it was not only a performance, but it was a televised, it was on the Stars Network. So it's just kind of oh, wow, we're on TV. And that's when things started to kind of be oh, wow, this could be a career, because people were starting to book me for shows. I was starting to go out of the country. And, that's really when everything started to kick out. That's when I started to take it seriously, when people started paying me, because I'm well, this is my career now. This is something that I should be able to make a lifestyle out of.
You look amazing.
Jay, you ready?
Good. Try to keep definitely strong. You want to go up on your toes if you want. Try not to bring your legs out on the heels.
Low, right?
Up. Up. And here we go. Keep your posture. Look up if you, or sit up, I mean.
I first caught wave of Baltimore club music when I was a college student, and I used to go to the Paradox, legendary nightclub, and that's where I would hear DJ K Swift spinning and a lot of the DJs from Baltimore doing their thing in there, and I was I want to be a part of this. I was this feels like home. It reminded me a lot of Miami-based music from Florida, and I grew up on that. So when I heard it, it connected me instantly to Baltimore. At the time, I met Murder Mark, who's now called Mighty Mark, one of my main producers, and he does all my club records for the most part. He put me on to the sound even more, and what we started to do was a lot of, we started to do a lot of original music, switched the format to more traditional song structures where it was club music beats and undertones, but also had the structure of a traditional record with an intro, a hook, a chorus, an outro. And so we started to do that, and then I feel that's kind of what took us from being just local artists to having our music broadcast in some of your favorite films or really big films and commercials. That's when my sound shifted. It was really the exposure to the culture and building real relationships. But I feel in the dance music genre, there's not a lot of women of color who are actually getting their flowers for pioneering and evolving the sound. We have so many amazing women Ultra Nate and Crystal Waters and all these women of color, Cece Pennison, women of color who huge in the dance music space. But I just feel where the culture is at, it feels very male dominant. And I'm here to switch that up.
Hands over the crotch.
Dark City Beneath the Beat, which was my first film ever, is a musical documentary about the Baltimore club music and dance culture. And I feel that it is an uplifting narrative of Baltimore and showing the world a different side of Baltimore. And I felt the need to do that because as an artist who was living and working in Baltimore, I just felt that we don't always get the same opportunities as you would get in another major music hub city like New York, Atlanta, LA. So for me, I wanted to create a promotional piece that really touched on all the talent coming out of here in a way to shed light and show a more positive portrayal, but also understand that this is the spaces that we're living in, and what we're able to create, even with the bare minimum resources, is powerful, and our stories need to be told and heard. And that's the only way real change can happen is, we fight poverty, we fight, a lot of our circumstances when we're able to inspire the younger generation and they're able to see themselves in a different light, to see that they can dance their way into a movie and then now on one of the top streaming platforms like Netflix. I think that plants the seeds in those young people, and then they become the super growers in their communities, and it's transformative. And so that is why I felt that now this film needed to be put out and it needed to be completed. And I feel really, really great about the results that it is creating since it's been released. For me, I see results when I'm seeing a lot of the featured talent now going off to do more amazing things, now getting support for their movements. And a lot of the talent, even in the short time span, has expanded their brands. Like, people are opening up their own studios, people are making their own films and telling their own stories. So, on one hand, there was criticism, me just not being from Baltimore, which was never an issue for me. But on the other hand, there was so much love and embrace because I am a part of that community. So a lot of people that were giving more negative insights, you never even stepped foot at a dance competition, nor picked up a camera to document it, nor did you have conversations and hold babies and teach children. I was teaching in Baltimore City public schools and after school programs for probably about 6-7 years. So I've held children in this community, and so anybody that questions my legitimacy as a community figure or pioneer are just, they're just haters. And it's all good for me because it's like, I hope that this inspires those haters to want to be more active and show up for their community. And I don't really take none of it personal because I'm on such a strong tunnel vision journey that all that stuff, it never gets to me. Like, I really don't even hear about it unless people literally like tap me or tag me. It's like, even then, you think about what is the motivation for it? Like, are you changing someone's life? Are you going, like, what is your legacy going to be, And I just hope that people can be inspired. I think whether it's negative feedback or positive feedback, the ultimate goal is to inspire people to want to get active. I always say you don't have to be from the place you're from to bring home a championship ring. Like, look at all these great athletes who come to a city and they're able to bring home a win. And so that's how I look at it. And I got so much people that support me, and I think, it's like put your money where your mouth is, or, walk the walk that you talk. And that's what I feel that I do, because I'm not only looking out for I'm not only looking out for myself, but I'm looking out for, a whole generation of young people just eager to have a chance. And so if I'm ever in positions where I can put other people in positions to support their families and win, that's what I'm going to do. I hope that if there's any messages that anybody can get from me is that, always stay true to your authentic voice. And if you don't know what that is, your life work becomes finding that authentic voice. And once you find it, I think you find a bit of ease and peace in it, because no one can really sway you or tell you who you are. So be diligent, work hard, because it doesn't come easy. Whatever it is, understand what you're chasing and what you're looking for to get in return. And that would be what I would tell, artists who are trying to, find their space and place in this business.